What do you think realistically is the market for Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts?
I mean, Daniel Jones, honestly, I would say around 35 mil. I think that's cool. Jalen Hurts, I think after the performance he did this year, I'm definitely looking at around 45 million for him. I know he's looking around. He's saying Dak and these guys, he's won a division. He got to the Super Bowl. He got the accolades, and he only did it in 2 years. He made the playoffs 2 years. I would like to think Philly is trying to get out ahead of this thing a little early rather than late. The price is going up, but I think 45 mil is cool. You know what I mean? Anything over that, they might be in a dangerous position. Heading into these next couple of years with all the players they got, and who they got to pay or whatnot.
I know we talked about it like a couple times how Deshaun kind of ruined the quarterback market, but like with the Eagles, you got to pay Jalen Hurts. Like you have to. That's your guy moving forward. But you kind of already have like blue chip pieces in place. Like the future's kind of already on your roster. You got a young offensive line. You got a center waiting behind Kelsey. So you can afford to pay him because you already have those cheap guys there. But like with the Giants and Daniel Jones, I don't like if you pay him 35, like Saquon will say they keep him, he gets 10. You're sitting with 45 on the offense on two players, which is cool, but who else you got? Like if they do that, because they're already in cap hell, if they do that, are they going to be able to grab pieces in the open market, or are they going to have to rely on the
Yeah,
draft? Like
they got a lot. They got a lot of dead cap over there too. So like we just seen the Kenny. They got Galladay move. You know what I
right,
mean? And that happened. And we thought last year, or even like going into the offseason, we was hearing all the rumors like, what I mean, he's not good. Like, what's they gonna keep slating or whatever? But they just kind of had him. He had him by the balls as far as like the number he had as far as his price tag. But even that, what I mean, doing that this year, there's a lot of dead cap on there. I think the smartest thing to do for Daniel Jones, to be honest, is just franchise tag, man. Just hey, do it again. Same thing you think
right.
about Geno over there in Seattle, man. Like I'm just like, do it again. Fresh in the system. If you could do it 1 to 2 times, it sucks to do it that way because obviously you rolling the dice. You seen how Dak was able to get the Cowboys like that, but at the end of the day, I think that protects both sides. Because to be honest, I don't know if you want to lock yourself into a 4-year deal with a Daniel Jones. You know what I mean? Not
Right.
knowing what direction you want to go at this point.
From the Giants' perspective, it makes sense that because I guess the report came out that they're not even close, like as far as the deal goes. But in Daniel Jones' mind, he's got his agent in his ear talking about like, oh, this is what the market's going for. Look at your numbers. I'm sure he's like feeding him all that good info. But from the Giants' point of view, like you kind of sucked the first couple of years, dude. We got this new coaching staff. Could they do this with another quarterback for cheaper? And you got to ask yourself that. But if he hits the open market, I don't even think there's a team that would pay him 45. Like it's
Nah.
not like it's nothing near even Cousins hitting the open market. You know what I mean?
So like speaking of that, what I mean, let's say he was to hit the open market. We know he's not worth 40 million per year, right? And I know we kind of discussed earlier. We was talking about Derek Carr, and pretty much him reaching out, saying that the market wasn't what he thought it was, and now he kind of just falling off of those numbers. And I'm not sure what the teams are right now, but I'm hearing he got multiple suitors. So what type of number you think he falling at this moment?
Derek,
Yeah.
Derek, he's probably going to take 35. I could see him getting 35, and I think that's fair. Like he's sitting there with 45. He comes in like, hey, this is what we got. Let's say Carolina, but I think it's a mistake for Carolina.
Nah.
We'll get into that though. But you go in there like, hey guys, I'll play for 35. You can sign me to 2 years. It doesn't have to be long term.
Yeah.
Let me prove myself here, and if I'm your guy moving forward, then we can renegotiate. But it's going to be a 1 or 2 year deal. I don't see any, and I think every other team would probably say that. Like Derek, like you got these cool numbers, but your winning record is terrible. Like you come from a bad situation, and hopefully that's what it is, a bad situation, and not you. We're going to put you on this short term deal. So I don't see a path at all where he gets a long term deal.
Yeah, I agree, man. Like, it's just it's where we always see this quarterback every year. It's like their free agent quarterback. Like we dealt with it in prior years where like can he rekindle that flame elsewhere? I mean, he has the talent, but I think at this point, like Derek Carr is who Derek Carr is. And I
Sure.
don't look at him as a guy that's going to come in any situation, uplift the team, or carry him at that point. I think for him, yeah, you take $35 million per, what I mean, less. Don't be shooting in those high ranges, and then maybe you can get yourself in a good situation, and it just kind of works best for all sides at this point. You know what I mean? You
Right.
don't want to fall into a Carson Wentz situation trying to carry the Commanders or, you know what I mean? One of those numbers, man.
Do you think so? switching it over to Lamar. By the way, R.I.P. Carson Wentz with Washington.
Yeah, sure.
He's actually, we can talk about that. He's like permanently a backup now, right? Like that's what happens now.
Yeah, I think it's it, man. Yeah, I think if you was to look at it, what is that now? 3 teams in 3 years?
Yeah, about to
Yeah.
be
So
four.
so at this point, man, yeah, I just think it is what it is. There's nothing wrong with being a backup. I think he can still get good money as a backup, but I think as a starter, as a guy that you think can carry you somewhere, at this point, he's either a stopgap quarterback, a team like the Texans or one of these lower end teams, maybe even the Carolina Panthers that just want to hold off, maybe not want to attack a quarterback in the draft
Right.
this year. You know what I mean? Or else, go to a good situation and sit back, hold the clipboard a little bit. Yeah, I think his time is up though. It's just crazy, like the cliff that he fell off.
Right.
You know what I
Where he
mean?
was going,
Yeah, like
like he was going straight to the top.
MVP season, like kind of trending to the Super Bowl. The numbers were there. I mean, the talent, the arm talent, everything was there. And then he just post injury, he just didn't come back the same, man. So I mean, it happens. It makes you think. You know what I mean, when you are paying these quarterbacks, because I remember we was having a whole conversation. The debates was, is it Dak? Is it Carson Wentz? And to be honest, it wasn't that far apart. I understood both sides of it, but just to think that now could we even have that conversation, just lets you know how far he done fell off in a short period of time. It's crazy.
That is crazy, and it's even crazier too, because like I would say his rookie season was kind of outshone by Dak's, but as it went on, like year two, it was like, whoa, like Wentz is the best quarterback in the NFC East. Is he? Like we don't know, but like that discussion was really there.
Now it was deeper, man. It was even comparing him to Patrick Mahomes, man. He
What?
was
Yeah.
like in the midst of that season, like they was like, "Do you see the throws this guy making?" And yeah, I mean, truthfully, like the arm talent has always been there. I just think it's not always upstairs as far as like his confidence. It's just, maybe when Philly put the statue of Nick Foles in there, and
Right.
yeah, I don't know what it was, man, but I think the team actually rallied around Nick Foles, and it kind of followed him everywhere he went. You know what I mean? You
Right.
even think about his past situation. Like those guys in the locker room really was playing for Taylor Heineke. You know what I mean? Like that was their guy. And I think you seen that as soon as he got in there, the whole team, the whole vibe around the Commanders and what they were doing, you know what I mean? It just changed, man. And honestly, who can you look at and kind of point a finger to but the guy himself that was in that position, and we've
Right.
seen it like multiple times already. So absolutely he's done as a starter. You know what I mean? Maybe he pulls a Geno Smith. Who knows, man? I don't know. But I'm not willing to bet on that.
That's
Nah.
crazy. We can stick to Geno right now if you want. So Geno is due for a deal, but I don't think the market for Geno is 35 like a Derek Carr. I think for Geno, or maybe not fully guaranteed. Carr, I think it's like he has the more starting time, you know? He's been doing it longer in a starting role. Whereas
Right.
Geno, he just kind of got stuck behind talent, you know?
Yeah.
He's a good quarterback. Does he deserve to start? Absolutely, he can. But I don't think he's in that top 10 ish, top
Nah.
15 range. So you can't pay him that kind of money. And I think he probably understands that. But with the Seahawks, I think you can do a long term deal with Geno, the opposite of Carr, but like a 4-year deal at the right price. You know, you
It
can't
has
be,
to be. It has
yeah,
to be, man. It just I hate to lean on the franchise tag, but it's another situation where I kind of look at it different versus the other quarterback situations because you have a team that was supposed to rebuild, right?
right,
But they have the young pieces, they have the blue chips, and if you get the right guy in there, like let's say draft a pick, maybe you end up in this Jalen Hurts situation where you can go for it all. If you get the young guy in there around that team and you keep building, then hey, look, we'll see what they do this year, and then
right,
moving into the next offseason, hey, they may be willing to have enough money to pay for it all just to go for it all again. They could just reload. But if you lock yourself into, let's say, a 4 or 5 year deal, and then Geno this year disappears and he go back to old Geno, then
right,
it's all for nothing, man. So for me, do it again. I mean, I'm
yeah,
sorry, you know what I mean? You look good this year. I was rooting for him. He looked good out there. But, in the bigger moments down when it got towards the end of the season, it just, what I mean, it wasn't there no more to spark as far as like the vibe around them. But I mean, it's a good young team. And I think they got one of the better situations in the league. So I would tread lightly, for real.
yeah. I think you got to be very careful because, like you said, we thought they were in rebuild and then they smashed the draft. So it's like, oh, we're relevant again, and all these guys are cheap. So you don't want to end up paying for the wrong quarterback. And that leads me to Lamar because I have a feeling, not a feeling, but I don't think it's a bad move for Seattle to reach out and try to make that move.
Shit, I would.
Because
I don't know. I don't know what Baltimore doing. I'm gonna be
right.
honest, because their roster is not good enough to like. They at the point where it's like the middle doesn't matter no more, right? You either gonna go for 13 or 12 wins or whatever you're gonna do, try to compete in that division. The division getting tougher and tougher.
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati, that young team, and the Steelers, they might be a quarterback away. Look, you know what I mean? So you
Right.
either gonna compete, you're gonna keep a Lamar Jackson, who I think, they was close enough. But the minute they get a quarterback, I just think you tear it all down, man. But
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't make sense, man. Like
No,
I don't know what they're doing over there.
I think with Baltimore, there's a lot of work to do on that offense. A lot. Defensively, they're sound, but offensively, like you need at least two more weapons. J.K. Dobbins, like, is he going to be what he was before? He didn't barely play this year. So I think if you are unable, because of your cap situation, to land those guys, like you might have to move off of Lamar, because if not, you're just going to be spending money to not get the production out of the guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then
tear it all down.
yeah, but if you do, like, the Roquan thing was a bad idea, like you made bad decisions, but because of the Roquan thing, I'm inclined to think they are trying to really work this out with Lamar. It doesn't really make sense, like, but I understand it as well. Like, can you afford to pay him 45 mil when your whole offense is? However, he did get hurt in the pocket this season. It wasn't being mobile.
Yeah.
But then there's that mobility question. But if you think about it, that Huntley kid, like, he's not the answer. But if you pay Lamar and you're Baltimore, you gotta get a Daniel Jones or a Trubisky, not necessarily Trubisky, but a speedy guy, someone that can run the exact same offense with efficiency.
Yeah.
Huntley was a good Band-Aid for a game or two, but having to play as much as he did is not going to work. So, like, even a Mariota is not a bad option there.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. Did Mariota just get released? I believe.
He did.
Okay, so he's on the market again. To be honest, I just think it's a lot of like back and forth with it. But when I look at it, I kind of look at it like Green Bay as well. You see Rodgers on a darkness retreat and all this stuff going on. But I just think come September, I'm gonna be honest, I just can't see Lamar Jackson anywhere else. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I think I truly believe, I agree with you on that. I think they'll find a way to work this way out. Whether it's a long-term deal, franchise tag. I don't think he's going anywhere this year. You know what I mean? And same for Rodgers. I
do think Rodgers is going to leave Green Bay. I really do. I think that it's time for the breakup. Like, you guys have tried. It didn't really go as planned. This is going into year 4 for Jordan Love now. Like, what do you got to play the guy. You already got rid of Devontae Adams, so you're not in rebuild mode, but you're teetering the rebuild. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it is time to move off of him, but for what and who's willing to be the suitor?
But it's crazy, man, because like you said, who's willing to be the suitor? But I seen Jordan Love in that game he played, and I think we was all kind of like, who is Jordan Love? We don't know, you know what
Right.
I mean? But when he hopped in there, man, he looked good, man. He was slinging it around. He had some zip on the passes. He was mobile, you know what I mean? He was making all the throws, and I'm like, damn, they might have something here. And
Right.
I think, with a guy who every offseason it's the same old thing, it's kind of getting a little tiresome, man. And then you think about last offseason, you kind of corner him into that deal. You're the highest paid quarterback in the league. You get the $50 million per deal. Y'all don't go anywhere again. Same situation. And then now you're back in the same position after you just got that money. I think at some point you do want to cut ties.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But is Green Bay going to move off of it or is Aaron Rodgers going to be the one? I don't think Aaron Rodgers really wants to leave. I think he just playing this whole, drama thing he liked to do. But at the end of the day, he'll come back around. But I think it'll be up to the Packers to say, look, we done doing this dance with you. You know what I mean? It's over.
No, yeah, I think it's time for the breakup, and I still think it's the Jets. I do. I think it makes sense for both teams. He's good in the cold. They don't have to worry about that. Like Carr can't play outside. Not in New York, not in November, December, January.
That's true. Yeah.
That's a mess. You have a home playoff game and the wild card weekend with Derek Carr, you're in trouble. So I think Rodgers up there makes the most sense. On the other side of that, though, Sam Darnold. What do you think's going on there with Carolina?
Hey, look, who we talking about? Sam Darnold, bro.
Uncle Sam.
He's a stopgap quarterback. You know what I mean? And Carolina, they're not too far away. I think they show promise post Christian McCaffrey.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You didn't have the star players. It's a young team over there. I think if they just focus on rebuilding defense, keep focusing around that run game, you may not need to have a quarterback at this point. It just depends on how much they want to complete. But if you think about a Tom Brady just retiring, the Saints, who are the Saints? The Atlanta Falcons, they have a nice young roster. I think if they get the right guy in there, they may be doing something. But I mean, it's wide open.
Right.
So they're faced with saying, hey, look, you know what I mean? Do I get a quarterback now? We rebuild this thing while the division is at its lowest and go for it all? Or do you just keep kind of just trading where you are and just stacking these pieces and these blue chips and just kind of building this foundation that lasts another 5 or 10 years?